All right, let's get right into it. When you hear the name Bugatti, what comes to mind? Probably record-breaking speed, insane luxury, right? But what if I told you that behind those incredible hypercars is a story that's so much more dramatic, a real saga of artistic genius, racing glory, and just heartbreaking personal tragedy? This is not just the history of a car company, it's a deeply human story.
You know, that quote really just hits the nail on the head. The entire history of this brand is defined by these two extremes: unbelievable, world-changing triumphs on one side and devastating, life-altering losses on the other. And that constant push and pull is what makes the Bugatti legend so powerful.
So, to understand Bugatti cars, you have to understand the man who created them. Ettore Bugatti, born in Milan back in 1881. And to really get him, you have to look at his family. Because here's the thing, he didn't come from a world of engineers. He came from a world of artists. And this right here, this is the secret sauce to his genius. Think about it. His father was a famous designer, his grandfather an architect, and his younger brother Rembrandt was this incredible sculptor. Ettore grew up surrounded by art, but he channeled all of that creative DNA into a totally different medium, the machine. He brought an artist's eye for beauty and perfection to engineering.
And his talent was just off the charts right from the get-go. At 16, he's already mastered complex mechanics. By 17, he's building his own vehicles. By 19, he's so good that a huge company hires him, and his dad actually had to co-sign the contract because he was still a minor. It all leads up to 1909 when he finally builds the first true Bugatti, the Type 10, in his own basement and starts his own company.
So, you've got this raw talent, right? But how do you prove it to the world? Well, for Ettore, his showroom wasn't some fancy dealership, it was the racetrack. He basically used racing as his own personal laboratory to perfect his designs, and as a stage to show everyone just how superior they were. And man, the results? They came fast. His whole idea was revolutionary for the time. Build small, lightweight cars that could just dance around vehicles with much bigger, clunkier engines. And you know what? He was right. The Type 13 was a total giant killer, winning at Le Mans and absolutely dominating the race at Brescia. By 1925, his cars had already racked up over 400 victories. And let's be clear, we're not just talking about success here. We're talking about total, complete domination. His next creation, the Bugatti Type 35, became the most successful racing car of all time. It won over 1,000 races. Just think about that for a second. Over 1,000. It's a record of dominance that's just staggering, and it cemented the Bugatti name as a synonym for victory. So, what do you do after you've completely conquered the world of racing? Well, if you're Ettore Bugatti, you set your sights even higher. He wanted to build a car not for the track, but for a throne. At the absolute peak of his powers, he started his most ambitious project ever, a car for literal kings. But his timing, oh man, his timing could not have been worse. And this ambition all came together in one car, the Type 41, better known as the Royale. I mean, this thing was the ultimate statement piece. It was the longest, most opulent car in the world, and Ettore was so selective that he would personally decide if you were worthy enough to even buy one. It wasn't just a car, it was a rolling piece of art. And then, just 3 years after the Royale was launched, the Great Depression hits America, and the financial crisis just rips across the entire globe. The market for a car designed only for royalty, it disappeared, almost overnight. Sales for the Royale just stopped, and the company was pushed right to the edge of bankruptcy. But this is where you see Ettore's practical side kick in. He pivoted. He took a contract from the French government to design high-speed rail cars. It was a brilliant move that saved his company, but that incredible dream of the Royale was shattered. The financial crisis was a huge blow, for sure. But the greatest tragedy, the one that really changed everything, was still to come. And it was deeply, deeply personal. This is where the story shifts to his son, Jean Bugatti, who is every bit his father's equal in talent and passion. Jean wasn't just the heir to the company, he was the heir to the genius. He was a brilliant designer in his own right, creating some of Bugatti's most beautiful cars ever, like the stunning Atlantic. He was leading the company to new victories at Le Mans. He was, in every sense, his father's dream, the perfect successor. So, for the Bugatti family, it really seemed like things were back on track. The future looked bright, with Jean at the helm. But as we all know, sometimes a single moment is all it takes to change everything. In August of 1939, just 2 months after winning Le Mans again, Jean was test driving that exact same car. A cyclist unexpectedly came onto the road, he swerved to miss him, lost control, and was killed instantly. For Ettore, who had already lost his brother to suicide years before, losing his brilliant son and heir, it was just an unbearable blow.
And after that, it was just one gut punch after another. Only 3 weeks after Jean's death, World War II begins and the Nazis seize his factory. After the war, he gets accused of collaboration and loses control of everything. His wife passes away, and then his own health just starts to crumble. In the span of a few years, he lost his son, his company, his wife, and his health.
So yeah, Ettore Bugatti's own life ended in tragedy. But the vision he created, this perfect blend of art and engineering, of beauty and pure speed, it was so powerful that it just refused to die with him. Decades later, that dream would be reborn. But there's one last, heartbreaking twist to his story. After years of fighting in court, Ettore's ownership of his company was legally restored. The news arrived just 10 days before he died. But by then, a stroke had left him paralyzed and completely unaware. He got his life's work back, but it was just too late. And with that, the Bugatti brand went silent. For decades, that was it. The name just went quiet. In the late 80s, an Italian entrepreneur gave it a shot with the EB110 supercar, but that company went bankrupt. No, the real turning point, the real comeback, started in 1998. That's when the Volkswagen Group acquired the brand. They had the vision, and maybe more importantly, they had the resources to finally do justice to Ettore's legacy. And in 2005, boy did they deliver. The Bugatti Veyron was released, and it did exactly what an Ettore Bugatti car was always meant to do. It shattered every expectation. It became the fastest production car in the world, hitting 254 miles per hour. The name Bugatti was once again on top of the automotive world, right where it belonged. And they weren't done. In 2019, the Bugatti Chiron did it all over again, becoming the very first production car to break that mythical 300-mile-per-hour barrier. This constant push for engineering perfection, for what seems impossible, that's the ultimate tribute to the spirit of the company's founder. So when you look at the whole story, it brings you back to this one big question. The story of Ettore Bugatti is one of massive success and just unimaginable loss. He died a broken man. And yet, his vision for the perfect blend of art and performance was so strong that it not only survived him, but today it continues to define the absolute pinnacle of what a car can be. It really makes you wonder, how does a dream become so powerful that it can actually outlive the dreamer?